control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye, we're the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. We the people have taken over. We the people are little brother, standing by to dethrone each other, watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon, desensitized in our lust for attention, democratized by our voyeur obsessions, watching you and watching me. Lives to perfection, don't let them project you as you are. Reveal your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye, we're the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. I know you're out there somewhere. This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Superman, that we're the only ones who can be strong, but we break on command, cause women rule the world.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And the deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for tuning in at spacedoutradio.com and on Spreaker. As once again we come in from the frozen Canadian tundra, battle our way past the wild animals, sidestep Bigfoot, and enter the haunted Uncle Jimbo's cabin, stoke the fire, heat this place up, and broadcast to you live on this Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning if you're on the East Coast. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we are broadcasting 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. Why? I just got asked that. Well, that's because we want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the paranormal, supernatural, conspiratorial, spiritual, and so much more. Like our music, if you head to the new look Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to find the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses. Check out a couple of his music videos by clicking on the Bumblefoot banner. You can also check us out on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website, which is looking damn fine these days, is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we'd like to say hello to everyone listening in on the High Plains Talk Radio Network, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with our fans at Facebook, at Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship chat room, the SOR Space Travelers. Hey, Space Travelers, you can now head to our website and sign up for the Space Travelers Club. It's only $5 a month. Yeah, just $5. That's less than a Starbucks coffee. And we will be doing monthly prize draws with your name in there. Have private group interviews, access to a special section on our website, and so much more. We're giving you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. Also, while you're on our website, you can check out who we associate ourselves with by clicking the affiliates page, and check out our SOR Spacewire by our news director, Eric Markham. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or to distance. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul. The New Agora newspaper is the official paper of this show, and the iTunes app Spirit Storybox, the official ghost hunting app of Spaced Out Radio. As a parent, it's always in our best interest to keep our children and families safe in our own homes. For most of us, that's a rite of passage that we probably take for granted. For others, there are horrors, from drugs and violent crime to many other nightmares. But who really thinks and prepares that they would need to worry about paranormal activity raining havoc in the household? For I would say the majority of us, we don't even think of the possibility, let alone know anyone who it's happened to. Well, From 1974 to 1989, life in West Pittston, Pennsylvania was anything but peaceful for the Smurl family. And tonight, Carin Smurl, who grew up in the family home, is here to talk about the living nightmare that was almost a nightly basis for everyone in her family. The experiences became so bizarre and so personal, the family eventually got involved with Ed and Lorraine Ward in order to try and find a solution to the demonic problem they were facing. Tonight, Carin, for the next 3 hours, will discuss everything about the experience, along with the skeptics who tried to call her family out. Hey, it's going to be a great night indeed for a tale of true haunting. We bring Carin Smurl into Spaced Out Radio Land tonight. Carin, pleasure to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. Thank you for having me.
Well, the pleasure,
nice to be here.
The pleasure is all mine, because I just found out about your story a couple of months ago when all of a sudden I got this Facebook request, and I vet everyone who I add to Facebook, and then I saw your story on your Facebook, and I was like, damn, that is someone I have to have on the air. So I am so excited to have you here. I've been looking forward to this now for a couple of months.
Yes, and thank you for reminding me, because it's been a hectic few months, and I thought, oh my goodness, I almost forgot about poor Dave, but I'm glad to be here, and it's exciting. This is my first radio show in where you're located in British Columbia?
I am, but you know what? Hold on. If you hear the siren, you can hear the siren. Hold on.
I can. What's going on there?
It'll go off again. Hold on 1 second. We have a old school fire department in my little hick town that I live in. And in order to call it, when they get a call, it automatically sets off the fire alarm. Here's part number 2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So they sound the air raid siren that has been there since like World War II. And the fire department is a good, easy par 5 to the green from my backyard here. So it's okay. It's all right. And, you know, every time the siren goes off, I feel I need to explain that so that way people know, what the Sam hell, was that a siren that I just heard? You know, scratching their head.
Exactly.
Yes, the aliens are coming, and that is the alien warning sign of Spaced Out Radio. That's the one we're going to call it. Anyhow, I'm really glad that you're here, because you have had an enormous lifetime of experience. And it's unfortunate because a lot of children don't grow up the way you did. A lot of children, you know, they have their toys, they have their friends, their schoolmates, everything that we try and do as parents to make our children grow up as comfortably as possible with as many advantages and opportunities that we didn't have being the generation before. But for you, this was something that was a different childhood for you. How did you ever think that it was normal? Or did you?
You know, well, no, I have to say, before we even, get into any details, that, from time to time, of course, I've thought about that. But when you grow up, I think because it happened, it's the earliest memories I have. It's always been, the paranormal has always been there in some way or another. However, I don't know, it was because we always had a strong family, even to this day. And, family was always huge. I mean, they look back at pictures of my relatives all the way back. I mean, as far black and white pictures as you can go. I mean, we've always had, the family's always been close. Whether it's cookouts and vacations and holidays, and it's always been a huge group thing. So I think the fact that family, we were always tight and always, of course, had religion on our side. I think that's what made it not okay, but kept it more normal than you would think. I can look back and people say to me all the time, that must have been horrible. You must have had a horrible, what a horrible thing a little kid had to go through. But it balanced itself out. I mean, there were so many scary times, but we had so many good times too that I don't look back at it and say, oh, woe is me, it ruined my childhood. It absolutely did not ruin my childhood. We always had that. We always had church and camping and family and vacations and cookouts and, holiday dinners with 20 people. There's so many people you can't even sit around the table. You're grabbing a plate, you're sitting on the stairs because there's just so many people. And, sports and school activities and what have you. And my mom just taking us swimming and different. We always had all that too. So, I think that strong family unit kind of balanced it out, and that's ultimately what got us through it. So I don't look back and regret and say, I don't look back and feel like my childhood was stolen from me at all. Not at all.
And I think that's pretty admirable to hear that, because it could have went so many different ways from everything that you went through. Because it's not like you asked for this haunted trauma. It's not like you guys asked for what you went through. And we're going to get into that. We got a lot of show to cover tonight, so we're going to get more into that as the night goes on. But the funny part about it is, and as I was reading into your story and researching more about your family events and everything, the thing that caught me the most was you lived in a duplex.
Right.
And I have to tell you, in 2001, my ex-wife, we call her ex-Mrs. SOR around these parts. Okay. We moved from Vancouver Island back to the mainland into a town called Mission, and we rented a duplex. Our friends lived on the other side, and nothing ever happened paranormally in their side. Our side, completely haunted. Completely. From teaspoons, all our teaspoons going missing, to all our drinking glasses going missing, to, our daughters would go to bed and every night we'd have cleanup time at night. And then by 7 o'clock the next morning, which would have been a school day, their rooms are just a disaster with toys absolutely everywhere. And my daughter has actually been seeing spirits since she was about 18 months old. So it really kind of put into perspective. And where I'm very curious about everything is the fact that, when you're looking at a guest, you try and draw some sort of parallel. And the whole duplex thing kind of sent me back into memory lane of, man, what happened in the duplex that I lived in? And there were some pretty weird experiences there as well. Did you guys have it where both sides were haunted, or was it just your side?
Oh, no, it was both sides. It was a duplex that was purchased by my grandfather, and him and my grandmother lived in one side, and myself, my three sisters, and my parents lived on the other side. It went, I'm assuming at this point you have not seen the movie, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much you've actually seen.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a virgin when it comes to this, because remember the story I was telling you just before I went on the air? Okay. When I had my own little second awakening, I shut everything off. So it's not that I didn't want to watch it. It's that I kind of follow these silly little rules that have been put up for me by whoever they are, right? So I do apologize for that.
No, don't apologize. I mean, I'm really good friends with another, I'm not going to say her name because, she'd be okay with me saying it, but she knows who she is. I'm really good friends with another demonic haunting survivor, and it was funny because I didn't know of her when I first met her, and I felt awful. Like, this was a huge story. Was I supposed to know? But it's just a generation thing. Like, I actually just watched her movie last week, and I felt awful. But how could I? I mean, her movie literally came out when I was like 5. So she's got a few years on me. So I didn't really know. But I'm still learning things myself. So and I had to dig deep for that, because that was another made-for-TV movie, but again, that was 10 years before ours. So, I really had to dig deep on YouTube for that one. But going back to the duplex question, no, when my grandparents, or my mother and my grandmother would be home during the day, my father went out to work. We went out to school. My grandmother, she would be home, cooking, cleaning, and my grandfather was still working part-time. So my mom was home on one side, my grandmother was home on the other. There were specific incidences targeted towards them when they were home during the day. It would kind of play them against each other. It would go after my mother and then, go through the wall. My mom would watch it, the entity go through the wall. And then, of course, it would go after my grandmother. So that's documented in both the book and the movie. There are scenes that depict that. And, different things like, my mom would hear screaming or cursing or fighting and, run over and think it was my grandmother, or she was calling for help or something. And, she would go over and my grandmother's like, what are you talking about? or my grandmother would hear like foul language and screaming and cursing, and she would think that my mom and dad were over there during the day having a huge fight, and would be all upset, that her son was talking to her daughter-in-law that way. So, I mean, it played both sides and played both sides against each other, too.
For people who are not familiar with this story, you moved into the home in 1974. Did everything start right at the beginning, or was this having a build-up to where everything started happening? Take us through the time.
Actually, it was 1972. Well, it was about 1972 into 73. There was a huge flood in the valley where we live. It was 1972. The Hurricane Agnes came through, flooded the Susquehanna River, flooded the whole valley. My parents, of course, lost their house, lost everything, and that's what brought them to that home. Which actually is really important, because people, a lot of times, their question for people who live in haunted homes, especially demonic, their first question is, why didn't you just move? There are so many reasons why you just can't pick up and move, and this is like a perfect example of why. I mean, you don't know somebody's backstory. You don't know what's going on. They lost everything. I mean, everything. They purchased that home. They moved in, my grandparents on one side, my parents on another. They had 2 young children. My 2 older sisters were very, very young. I think like maybe 5 and 2 at the time. I mean, they had nothing. I mean, literally. Put every dime into that home, fixing it up, working on it. Little things that you typically see in movies and TV shows, like remodeling. For some reason, that's always a good plot for a horror movie, isn't it? Somebody moves in, they start remodeling, they start construction. It tends to kick things up. Well, that's kind of what happened. And it was little things, something would go missing, or something that had just been replaced would break, or, a stain on the wall that my mom had just painted would come back. So it was little things that didn't really kind of stand out, didn't make them say, aha, and it continued that way, benign little annoyances. When my mom was pregnant with my sister and I, she said, it wasn't really active. She doesn't remember a whole lot during that point. My sister and I were born actually in 1978. So there was a few years there between the time we moved in and the time my sister and I were born. When my sister and I were about 2, my older sister, she remembers seeing things. She said, she would be laying there at night and she would see different things, shadow people, just white figures, different things. But she was young too, so she didn't, she would tell my mom, look, what's that? Like my mom, thinks she's seeing like her imaginary friends or whatever. But nobody at that point wasn't physical. Nobody was being injured. There was no, knocking and slamming and things like that. So my first memories of things started about 3 years old, I would say. Then again, we would start to say the same things, like, Mom, I saw this in my room, or, I'm not sure if she was playing it off as, like, imaginary friends or what have you, because, again, at that point, it still wasn't physical. So she would say, oh, there's nobody there, whatever. And I'm like, yes, there's a man standing at the end of my bed at night, Then I would say about when we were about 5, my sister and I were, 78, like 80, well, maybe like 82, 81, 82 is when it really started to kind of, the demonic, part started to kick up a little bit more, where there was, things moving around, things being thrown around, the physical, the noises, the smells. It started off so slow and so benign for so many years. And I think it really took to the point where people started to get touched. And it kind of puts that out there in the book, as in the movie as well. Like, once my mom started, feeling, being touched at night, when blankets started being pulled off, that's kind of when she was like, okay, it's not in my head anymore. I knew I put that screwdriver there, but now it's gone. But, I'm just busy. I'm just a mom. I have a busy schedule. All right, now somebody's touching me. Now somebody's scratching me. Now somebody's pulling the blankets off me. Now it's not in my head anymore. Now I'm not going crazy. Now something is definitely going on.
I have a question from Amanda in the SOR Space Travelers room. Carin, when did you first know it was just not a spirit, but something more?
Me personally, or the
Yes.
family?
Well, let's get both.
Okay, well, like I said, I think I just answered that. My mom was the first one to kind of be physically touched. So for my mom and dad, it was definitely when the physical part started. When I was 5, so about the same time, this is when it kind of got drastic for me too. I stopped seeing, the man at the end of the bed just standing there, and at some point that got physical as well. And it was right around the time where we actually, me and my sister started sleep. We had bunk beds, and she was on the top and I was on the bottom. And one night I see this black figure, the one I've seen all these years. And then next thing you know, you're drug out of bed. And I remember I was standing in the hallway, and I couldn't scream, and I couldn't move, and I was at the top of the stairs, and I was trying to run to my mom's room, trying to scream. I couldn't. And, I was just kind of picked up and thrown down the bottom of the stairs. I remember hitting the bottom of the stairs, and I was finally able to scream, and I just started to scream and cry. And of course, my parents, woke up. But I knew I wasn't having a dream. I knew I wasn't sleepwalking. The same figure that I've seen since I was 3 finally decided to, kind of turn on me and drug me out and down the hallway and kind of threw me down the stairs. So at that point, again, it was a physical confrontation that kind of said that something's not right here. Even as a 5-year-old, I think something's not right when that happens.
When you say,
I think for everybody that was the case.
Carin, when you say physical, it got physical with you. For a lot of people who won't understand, what do you mean by physical?
When I say physical, I'm just referring to touching. Period. When that line is crossed, a lot of people say I have a ghost in my house. Okay, fine. You have a ghost in your house. Maybe it was somebody that lived there. Maybe it's a residual haunting, something energy that's been there for years. It's a whole different scenario when something finally touches you. Then at that point, you're no longer safe, and it's a totally different head game, because you're not like, oh yeah, that there was a 90-year-old lady, she passed away here, or this was whatever. This property used to be whatever back in the 1700s, and that there was this or that going on. When you're in your own home and that line is crossed, it's a totally different ballgame, because now you're no longer safe in your home. It's no longer in your head. You're not safe anymore, and you're fighting. People own guns. People have knives. People keep a baseball bat by their bed. How do you protect yourself against something you can't see? So it becomes a completely different situation in a completely different scenario.
Was your family knowing of the paranormal or believing in the paranormal before these incidences started?
I would say yes. We grew up, all of us, Roman Catholic, so I know we all believed in good and evil. So, we were a family that was definitely, my mom always believed in extraterrestrial and, spirits and things like that. My dad did have an experience of his own when he was younger. We've been asked many times, of different things. There's been many different, what's the word I want to use? I don't want to say explanations, but theories, if you will, into why us, because people always say, well, why us? Why your family? Why me? We're not sure, but it seems that this does come from down the line a little bit. My dad remembers about him being about 7 years old. And he said, he got up to use the bathroom one night as a little boy and looking down the stairs and seeing something with red eyes looking up at him. I also had a relative, would have been my dad's second cousin, God rest his soul. He was complaining of seeing things in the home and weird things happening to him, and nobody believed him. We're not sure exactly what happened. This was way before my time. He actually committed suicide in the home. He said, he told my dad at some point, he nobody would believe him, and he feels like he's going crazy, and he actually took his own life. And I believe that was back in the 50s. So there were a few incidences throughout time that were pretty interesting, to say the least. But my mom said even as a little kid, you know, she always believed in ghosts. She always believed in, again, extraterrestrials. So, I you know, when people say, when people come out and tell me that, you know, I'm a fake or a fraud, that's one thing I never get mad. I never, ever get mad. And the reason is because if I didn't grow up in the home that I grew up in, and I didn't have the experiences that I did from such a young age, who knows what I would have grown up believing. So I don't fault people for ever disbelieving me. And because, I mean, some people just need their own proof, and I can't fault them for that. Because I don't know where I would be in my beliefs at this point in my life if this hasn't been shoved down my throat since I was born. So I never get defensive, you know, and I never jump down people's throats, and if they say, oh, you're a fake, you're a fraud, okay. You know, I hope one day, you know, you get the answers you need. I hope it's not demonic. I hope you don't have to get tortured, you know, to get your proof. But I respect it, and I don't get mad at people because it's always been there for me. So, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, from the experiences that you've told me that you had, you know, who's to say? If you've grown up and you never had one experience of your own, who knows what you'd believe?
Well, we do have a motto on this show that says we believe everybody. Because, Carin, I've never stepped in your shoes. You've never stepped in mine. I've never stepped in any of the listeners' shoes.
Right.
So who are we to say that just because my experience is different than yours, that I'm right and you're wrong? And that's, I think, and we can debate that all night about, you know, that being the biggest issue and the biggest problem with the paranormal field today is all these BS misconceptions that I'm right, you're wrong. And we'll get more into that right after this. We are talking with Carin Smurl tonight. The Smurl family haunting is our topic on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back after this break.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Hi there. This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 Mediums and a Large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. We're starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost?
Look no further than Spaced Out Radio.
SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click on to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on radio
or our website, including social media.
From commercial spots to banners, we have it all.
Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Want to connect with us online? Find us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter, @Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. All right, space travelers, here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Tomorrow night on the program, the crypto historian Rob Morphy is back for his monthly contribution to this show, the crypto historian, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. While visiting our website, you can check out the SOR Space Wire, our news stories from news director Eric Markham. You can check out who we affiliate ourselves with, and for $5 a month, you can join the SOR Space Travelers. With that package, you get a private section on our website. You get access to private group interviews and so much more. We're giving you a heck of a lot more than just access to our archives. Tonight we are talking with Carin Smurl. The Smurl family hauntings is our topic tonight. Carin, welcome back.
Hello, how are you, Dave?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to have you on the show. And right before the break, we were talking about the physicality of this spirit demon that was coming in contact with you. And I want to start with a question from Galen in the SOR Space Travelers. She is asking, what did the spirit's touch feel like?
Okay, that's a good question. And I do want to apologize to your chat room. I'm always in the chat room. I'm always like super goofy and messing with people and answering questions and sharing links. And I really apologize. I'm having some serious internet issues. So I'm really sorry because I'm always in there and I'm always talking with everybody. So please accept my apologies, guys. I'm really sorry. Technology is to blame, not me. So that is a good question. And, I have to say that it varied because there were times where it was, most of the time it was like an icy cold. And I mean icy cold. I'm not talking about, it's the middle of summer right now. We're all dying. We probably all have our AC on. I'm not talking about your room, after you go in, after you're having your AC blasting for 3 hours. I'm talking about, Jack Frost, icicles on your legs. I mean, that's typically what it was. But anybody that is, really into the paranormal, one of the things that you hear about is cold spots. The demonic doesn't always create a cold spot. Demonic can create cold spots and hot spots. That's a whole other topic. But in that same note, to answer this question, the temperature went both ways. I mean, there were times where you were touched to the point where, it felt like, a branding iron, it was super hot, like you were scalded. And when it was physical too, there was a lot of times where somebody was scratched. And being scratched was like, if anybody has a cat, that's like the worst scratch like on the planet. Like it's just so sharp and so like razor blades. And imagine that with like instantly pouring, acid in it. It's just an awful, just instant burning sensation. So it actually went both extremes, to be honest with you.
When you were growing up, did you have friends stay the night? Or was it kind of off limits to bring friends over because you didn't want them to have any issues like you had? Friends did sleep over. My friends as well as my sister's friends. I think more towards the end, that kind of stopped, and it's pretty sad. We'll talk about this later, I'm sure, but it more became off limits when it became a media circus. I mean, because it got to the point where between the paranormal activity and the media and the onlookers, where it just became a completely unsafe situation. So then towards the end, it got to the point where it was just like we just can't do it. We can't. We're having a hard time protecting ourselves. We can't have people over. And there was always people that trusted us. I mean, we had. Not sure if she's listening tonight, but she's just usually listening in. I had a few best friends. I was 5, 6, 7 years old. You're not allowed to leave the street. You can play from here to here and from here to here. And our yards met. I had a few little boys that were living in the area, and I had a few of little girls, and so they were my close friends. They would come in. They're playing in my room. We're watching cartoons. They were in the garage. We're playing in the pool. They were over a lot. So it was those few close ones. But my sisters were in high school. My oldest sister, in the heat of all of this, she was in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. So, of course, she had boyfriends. Her boyfriends would come over. She had friends from softball, basketball. They would stay over. Parents really didn't hold their kids back from coming over. Like I said, right up until the end, it got a little shady, but more so because it became a media circus, I would say. Were you ever judged?
And that actually, Dave, I have to actually stop you because I really thought of an interesting point that your audience would probably like to hear. That situation actually kind of went both ways. My older sisters would go to sleepovers, and it would follow them.
Oh, no way.
And they would get phone calls. My parents would get phone calls in the middle of the night for them to be picked up. And it was whether sometimes, we had cousins that were close too. My sisters were really, really close with my cousin. They were the same age. They would sleep over her house, or they would sleep over a friend's. Oh, yeah. And they would get a phone call. Mom, it followed me. This happened or that happened. And the parents or my sister would be calling in the middle of the night for my parents to pick her up.
Oh, goodness.
So that went both ways.
When you were a child, and maybe your sister had this happen too, but kids can be cruel. Kids can be very, very vicious, and they don't even know about that. Did you take a lot of abuse and bullying from other kids because what was going on in your house? And as the story got out, maybe you were picked on a little bit more, or were you lucky enough to just have a normal childhood?
Well, since my sister and I were younger, my twin sister and I were on, the younger range. You kind of, when your kids are 5, 6, especially then. Now our kids play video games. They see horror movies by the time they're 5. But back then, when they didn't have that, you kept your kids from watching horrible things on the news, horrible, scary things because you didn't want them to be up all night. So a lot of the kids our age kind of didn't really know the whole thing, and their parents weren't kind of put in their face, and they weren't seeing it on the news constantly and reading the newspaper. So for us, it was a little bit different. Like I said, I was little. I had my few friends on the street or a block over. We didn't get picked on at that point. My sisters, of course, they were in middle school, high school. They didn't get picked on by the kids they went to school with, nor the teachers. The teachers were absolutely phenomenal. The people that already knew us, the people that knew what kind of family we were, what kind of people we were, had nothing bad to say. It was the kids from like other school districts, in the area, or parents that people that didn't know us personally would be the ones to kind of come and taunt and, have things to say. Everybody that knew us personally from church or school or group activities, they kind of, they knew how close we were, that we went to church every Sunday. They didn't see us as, oh, those crazy people, or, oh, they're making the story up for money. They didn't see that. They saw us as who we were. So that we really had, on our side. It was the people outside the circle that gave us the hard time.
I'm glad to hear that, because I know, for instance, when my daughters, when we had things going on in our house over the last 4 years, they were like telling their friends and everything. And for a couple of the parents, I mean, they just didn't want to send their children over to our house because, let's face it, a lot of people are naive about this. A lot of people aren't very comfortable with these topics. So for you to be able to have that community and church support, you had to be commended for that. And obviously your parents were good people in order to have the respect that your fellow congregation and friends didn't look at you guys as outsiders or oddballs or something along those lines.
Right. And I mean, even my dad at work, I'm not going to say her name, but God love her. My dad was a plant manager for a baseball card company, and his secretary, I mean, even like my dad had experiences at work. I mean, things would happen to him at work. She saw them firsthand. I mean, it seemed like everybody that was close to us had their own experiences. So, there were people like, listen, they're not lying. I've seen things. Like, we had so many people that would either be at the house or, like I said, be around us, or we would go away on vacation, and have people watch the house for us. And they've had their own experience. So they were like, listen, these people are definitely not crazy. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've heard it. Like, they're definitely legit. So, don't get me wrong. There were people that gave my parents a really hard time. Kids, I think, are more accepting because they're just like, oh, that's cool. I know those people. I'm going to hang out at their house or whatever. But my parents took a little bit more slack from the adults in the community. Again, more so people that they didn't know. But like my mom would go to the grocery store, and people would be looking at her, and they did take a lot of slack from adult members of the community that weren't close to them.
How was the Catholic Church towards you guys?
Very supportive in what they could do. We had a great priest, and of course, he would come over and bless the house, and it was a different time. I mean, even though it doesn't seem like that long ago, we're not talking about the 1800s here. We're only talking about, the 70s and 80s, but it truly was a different time when it comes to the paranormal. And all of your listeners, I'm sure, I mean, if you grew up in the 70s, the 80s, there was no internet to go to look this stuff up. You couldn't turn on your TV and, pull up 42 paranormal shows. There's like 3 on every channel now. And it was a lot harder with the Catholic Church then. I mean, they were at a time where an exorcism was like, there was the kibosh was put on that. It was like, we don't do exorcisms. We don't teach that. We don't practice that. We just don't do that anymore. Like, it's not even a thing. So I mean, that's kind of the mentality that we got. The family priest was great. He came over anytime to bless. He was over multiple times. Anytime, if anything he could offer, any kind of counseling, just to talk, call him anytime, offering up prayers and rosaries and things like that. The church group would always come over for, I can't remember the name of the church group, but, it was a bunch of men that, they said the rosary, they went to different events, if anybody in the community needed help. So they came over. So the people in the church were great too. But, once it came to the point of, hey, we really need some help here, that was it. It was kind of like, there's nothing else we can do. You can try to call my mom. My mom put countless phone calls into the archdiocese and the bishops and, just different congregations. And, with a phone bill that was hundreds of dollars a month, and, just couldn't get any help. So above and beyond, your basic blessing or your basic family counseling or marriage counseling groups at church, there was really nothing they could offer us. They wouldn't. So we were kind of stuck there. That's kind of that's kind of what took us to the Warrens, because that was it. We didn't know where to go from there.
And that had to be scary when your own church is turning you down.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, when you're a Catholic, I mean, that's where you're supposed to go. And again, there was no, I mean, you couldn't go on the internet. There wasn't like, hey, let me Google, paranormal group in Pennsylvania. I mean, there was just, that option just didn't exist. You couldn't open up the phone book and see a page with paranormal investigators on it. There was no such thing. So that was it. You know what I mean? You had your church. That's the only thing you had. Where do you go from here?
Did this ever push your family to question your faith when the church started pulling away from your home situation?
No. No, because, it had nothing to, it's nothing to do with God. It's nothing to do with your faith. It's just, they were pretty much saying, listen, our hands are tied. There's nothing we can do. I mean, I don't have the authority to do anything else. I mean, my mom did get mad. Don't get me wrong. I mean, she had leave it to my mom. She had a few choice words for, the bishop. She did. She wasn't too happy. I mean, she called that office, dozens of times a day. She said, I'm not going to stop until somebody helps. So she got angry. She did. But still, she never questioned her faith. My parents never stopped going to church. We never stopped going to CCD classes. It never swayed us.
Gloria is asking in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, why do you think Catholics have so much paranormal trouble and activity?
That's a really good question, and I always used to wonder that myself, but over the years I've learned that I think it's the devil's greatest, that's what he wants. He's like, ooh, it's like a kid in a candy store, like, ooh, if I can take someone that believes in God and I can break them, that's like the ultimate goal. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, that is like the ultimate test. If I can take this family, that's what the devil wants. He wants to take your family, break it apart, cause you to lose your faith. And, I mean, somebody that's, I don't want to put anybody down here, but somebody who's, suicidal, somebody who's a drug addict, somebody who comes from an abusive situation, someone who has no faith at all. It's kind of like almost not a challenge. Does that come out? Like, do you understand what I mean? Like,
no, absolutely. I mean,
it really is. It really is. It's just like, that's what it wants. It wants to tear you apart. It wants to win that battle. It wants to sway your faith. It wants to take you away from God. It wants to destroy you physically, mentally, take away that love that you're take away everything good in your life.
Amanda has a question in the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. Did you ever, as a child, go to see a child psychiatrist or ever have one question you and dismiss your beliefs?
Never. I never have been to counseling. No, none of us. We've never been to family counseling, group counseling, therapy. Nobody's ever been on medication, nothing like that.
I do have to ask, and it's probably the most popular question you're asked all the time. Why did you stay in the house? Why did your family commit to staying in that house when these actions were happening?
Well, I think I answered that before. As in most couples, young couples with young children and coming out of a natural disaster where you just lost everything, financially, it just wasn't an option. I mean, you think about, a lot of the younger people that are listening probably don't understand. The 70s and the 80s, the early 80s were a hard time economically. My mom used to tell me stories about when I was born, 77, 78, 79, where there were times where, she couldn't go to for gas. Like, gas, there was a gas shortage and, she had to, anybody whose last name started with A through K was allowed to go get gas from the gas station on Mondays. And if your name started with, L through Z, you could get gas on Wednesdays. I mean, there was a tough time in the country going on at that point too. So, my mom and dad, weren't married very long. They've got 2 young kids now. They have 4 young kids. They've got my dad's parents who were both getting up in age, who both had heart issues and heart conditions. You've got 2 kids that go to one school, You've got 2 children that are close to graduation that don't want to leave their friends at another school. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons to not. I mean, your family is right next door. We had family on the street as well, besides the duplex. My mom's mom and her sister lived in another home on the street. They were involved in the Lions Club. My mom was president of the Women's Lions Club, which is a community group. My father was president of the Men's Lions Club. My sisters played basketball, softball. I mean, there's a million reasons to stay. But when you have, when you're responsible, my dad pretty much, is responsible for 8 people financially. How do you just, when you put all your savings and every dime into a home, how do you just pick up and leave? It's a next to impossible, and young people kind of don't understand that. I'm recently divorced. I only have 1 child. Luckily, I found this place. A friend is renting to me. Thank God. I just wanted to get out of a bad marriage. If somebody told me tomorrow that I had to pick up and leave here, I don't know what I would do. I don't have that much money in the bank to just pick up and find a new place tomorrow. So that's, I think that's one of the major things. It's a huge financial issue.
And you know what? That's very understandable. And you know what? That ties into the point that I have said many times on this show with these paranormal groups out there who come in and they use it as a game to get their own evidence without offering any type of solutions or problem handling, going into people's homes that they believe are haunted, saying and confirming, yes, they're haunted, but they don't offer anything. And that is one of the biggest beefs that I have ever stated on this show that I have with the paranormal field today, with all these so-called teams popping up everywhere. Do you find, as someone who is now looking back, hindsight 2020, do you wish there was more paranormal involvement back then?
Listen, you know what? It's so funny because you hit that so right on the head. I've been in paranormal investigators. I've actually been doing that myself for many years. And that is one of the things that absolutely drives me insane. It really does. Like, it angers me so bad because I've been asked to work with groups and I have people constantly asking me for help. And, sometimes people are just too far away. I mean, I'm on the East Coast. I don't have the money. I'm a single mom. I have a job. I have a family. I can't just, hey, Karen, can you come help me? I'm in California. I can't just hop on a plane, buy a ticket and be out there for the weekend. So I go out of my way to find somebody that I trust in that particular area to get out to help somebody. And I actually try to find people that can help. There are so many groups out there, like you said, who, if you're a homeowner, okay, and you're living in a home and you've got something going on, okay, and you don't need somebody to come in there and say, oh, well, I'm going to come in and get some evidence. Yeah, here you go. Here's your evidence. Okay, bye. Okay, well, now what? Now what do I do?
Exactly.
You need somebody to get rid of it. Now, let me put this out there again. I'm a paranormal investigator, so I do run into the other situations as well. A paranormal investigator is not somebody who goes and looks for ghosts. We are not. The real paranormal investigators are not ghost hunters. If somebody says to you they're a ghost hunter, then I assume that you're a ghost hunter and you're going out looking for ghosts, and you're one of those groups that gathers some information and says, yeah, there was a ghost there. Okay, great. We had a great night, had fun, got some lots of good evidence, and we're out of here. When I say I'm a paranormal investigator, I want to investigate that situation and find out if that's actually what's going on. And a group that's actually qualified to come out, like we always try to have some type of counselor with us, and just to ask those tough questions. And you can't this is what I tell people too. I say, listen, if you want my help, you're going to be asked some difficult questions. If a group comes to your home and they're not qualified or they do not ask you these questions, they're not the real deal, okay? Because I need to know, is anybody in the home, are you using drugs? Is there abuse going on? Does somebody have a mental condition? It's not. I've been to homes that, if somebody swears, oh my God, my house is haunted, it's demonic. It's demonic, I'm being scratched, I'm this, I'm that. And we go out to the home and we find out there's absolutely nothing going on. This person needs counseling. This person needs to be seeing a doctor. You know, I've literally walked into a lady's home who said, I'm being physically attacked, I'm being scratched, I'm being drug out of bed, I'm being touched. We were frantic for this woman. And we go out to the home, we find out there's drug abuse, there's physical abuse. She's saying things like, I'd like to be raped by ghosts. We investigated for her. We didn't find anything. So on the other hand, I'm not just to walk out of her house and say, yeah, you don't have anything going on here. My job is to get you help. She needed other help. She didn't need a paranormal investigator. This woman needed counseling. This woman needed to talk to a priest. She needed to get to a doctor. You know, and she trusted me enough. I built the trust enough with her to get her that help. Because it's not always paranormal either. So, I mean, it goes both ways, you know? But, yeah, there's 99% of the groups out there, Dave, are just like that. They just want to walk into your house. And your question was, did we run into that? We had the craziest things go on. We laugh about it now. I talk to my mom, and, you know, we always joke, and that's how we made it through, too, is laughter. We all have a great sense of humor. And we joke about it. You see me on Facebook. Me and my sister are talking at like 3 a.m. We're like, oh, yeah, I got a squirt gun filled with holy water next to the bed. We're always joking because you have to. And we had the craziest people come to our house. And when I say crazy, I'm not being mean. We're nuts. We had people, you know, dancing around our front lawn with rubber chickens. We had groups, covets of witches trying to come in. We had witch doctors, voodoo priestess, you name it, they were trying to get into our house. Literally knocking on the door, begging to come in, you know, claiming I can get rid of it, I can take it with me, I can cleanse it. Every crazy scenario you can think of, we pretty much had. People calling and saying, you know, my group can do it.
I'm going to get you to hold that thought. We're going to hop out for a break here at the top of the hour. What an interesting topic so far tonight. The Smurl haunting from 1972 to 1989. Carin Smurl, who grew up in the household, is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. When we come back, we're going to get more into paranormal groups. Is she still being followed? Your questions and so much more. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio on the Spreaker.com network.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantis, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mullet, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And we give it up to you guys, all the listeners and the live listeners. Usually get something special and hang out in the chat room. And we love to have you. So we'll see you every Saturday night at 8 p.m. You know where.
If you're a fan of social media, you can follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where our archives are stored, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back for the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Tomorrow night, we step into the crypto world. The crypto historian Rob Morphy is back with a bunch of historic crypto sightings from around North America. 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. We get things going on the mighty SOR. Tonight's password, if you are in the SOR Space Traveler set by Bill Cardwell, is accursed. Accursed is your password tonight. Make sure you use that wisely, Space Travelers. We don't want you getting in any trouble. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. While on our website, give yourself a little tour. It's pretty cool. We worked pretty hard to set that thing up. You can read some news stories from our news director, Eric Markham, in the SOR Space Wire. Check out our recent blogs. I just had a new blog put up yesterday. It's nice, fresh material there. Kind of what we were talking about with Carin about paranormal groups. And, of course, take the time to join the SOR Space Travelers. For $5 a month, you get a private section on the website you can post in. You get access to private group interviews, monthly prize draws, and so much more. Tonight we are talking with Carin Smurl. She's talking about her family haunting that took place in Pennsylvania in the 70s and 80s. Carin, welcome back.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I am fantastic and having a good time on your show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Right before the break, we were talking about all these paranormal groups, and I want to spend just a minute here on this. As someone who has lived with a demon in your house, what is your opinion of all these television shows now having demons absolutely everywhere? Somebody, coughs. Well, that's a demon. If somebody sees a rat running along the ground, that's a demon. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm being a little bit...
Yeah, you're absolutely... No, you're not being anything. You're being 100% honest, because that's what it seems like. And I'll tell you what, demon... It's such a rare thing for somebody to have a demonic haunting, and, I try to explain this to people a lot, because people always go right to demonic, and even when I help people, the first thing I try to explain to them is, picture, like, somebody that you have to see, maybe it's an employee, maybe it's somebody in your family, an in-law. Picture these people, these nasty people that we see on the news, child molesters, murderers, serial killers, people that are blowing people up in all these terrorist attacks and everything. Think about people like that. They're just awful people, They're just terrible souls. They're nasty. They just carry all this negative energy. They're just bad people. Well, guess what? There's a good chance they're going to be the same way in death. Like, they're carrying that energy over with them. If they were, I wish I could curse and say this word, but if they were this type of person in life, they're probably that same type of spirit in death. Somebody that's not well versed in the paranormal might say, I have a demonic haunting. There's a good chance it's just somebody that was just a jerk, in life. It could have been a bad spirit that was tied to the property or tied to the home or involved in a crime on the property or the home itself, or just a really bad person. So a lot of people, I think, tend to mix that up. Put those two on the same plate. And I think once I explain that to them, they kind of say, "Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense." So I mean, I really think that people need to understand that the demonic hauntings are not, unless you know for a fact. I actually did run into a case where the guy was looking for help, and finally he came clean and said, "Listen, I was holding seances in my basement. I had the Devil's Bible or whatever the heck he was using." And he's like, I invited it into my home. Okay? There are situations where that arises, too. You invite them in, they're going to come. But it's very rare. It really is. It's rare. And I actually got asked a really good question one time. And we can get into this later, but my family and I still have issues to this day. It is not like it was, and we'll go over that later. We still all have paranormal activity. And somebody asked me one time, well, how do you give people peace of mind as a paranormal investigator? How do you make them feel good and positive and just reassured that you can help them, even if somebody like the Warrens were not able to fully get this out of your life? Again, it was demonic. It's a different situation. It sticks with you in a way. I've talked to other demonic haunting survivors, and they all say the same thing. It's almost like once you're marked, you're marked. It's kind of like they know they lost the war, but they're still going to kind of try to throw a little battle at you once in a while, kind of let you know they're still there.
It's kind
you
of
always have to be on your toes.
It's kind of like
gotta stay on your toes.
The Kmart blue light special right over top of your head, where it's just attracting them. Absolutely.
Right. Yep. And people think it's cool, and I have people running around doing crazy stuff, and when I hear of people inviting it into their homes, I just really just want to, I know I'm supposed to help them and say, okay, I understand you made a mistake. Okay, I understand you made a mistake, and you're asking for help, and we'll get through this. But I really want to just grab them and shake them and be like, what were you thinking? Like, what did you think was going to happen? You were inviting the demonic into your life. What did you think that was going to be cool? Because, not only can they ruin your life, they can ruin your family, your mental state, your physical health. That's the one thing people don't realize. I mean, they'll take a jab wherever they can. They'll just destroy you physically. I mean, people end up with like heart conditions and all kinds of different things. I mean, they'll just go at you with any weakness that you have. They'll find it. They know what it is. So yeah, please, if you're out there and you're thinking about this, it's not cool. Don't invite things into your home, because you'll be sorry. I mean, it is. I mean, it's a rare thing. It's a rare thing, and as much as, sometimes, I don't know if you guys watch the news, I'm sure you all do, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the world, and it seems like the demonic is not so rare, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems to be everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And you know what, it's funny you mention that, because many times on this show, and I recently wrote a blog about this, How Would You React, is what I titled it at spacedoutradio.com. And one of the things that I really appreciate you're saying is we get a lot of people, and I've read a lot of comments and listened to a lot of people say, I just want the experience. I just need to know that this is real. I've never experienced anything. But you really do have to be careful what you wish for, because there is a big difference between getting a visit, whether it's extraterrestrial or whether it's paranormal in the ghost field. okay, between a benevolent being and a malevolent being. And a lot of people don't understand that when you just open the door, you're allowing anything to come in. You're not closing the door to one side or the other.
All right. If you want an experience, the safest way to do it, and I mean, you're always at risk for an attachment, because some people are just sensitive. They will attach themselves to you. Human spirits will attach themselves to you too. You can take an attachment home, but go to a historic location. You want to have an experience, go to a historic location with a group that's doing, some of these tours are a little, stay away from, take my word for it, guys, stay away from the Halloween attractions. If they say, we have one here in Pennsylvania, it's called Eastern State Penitentiary. People go to it at Halloween. Don't go to them on Halloween. They're open. Most of them are open all year round. Go to an event. There's a lot of historic locations where paranormal groups or teams, will hold events. Research the group a little bit. Some of these groups are a little questionable. Find a group. You can always message me on Facebook. You can always message Dave. We'll find out if the group is on the up and up. If the group is on the up and up, pay $50, pay $60, pay $70. Go to the, all-night investigation with somebody who's experienced. Make sure you cleanse yourself on the way out. Don't sit in your house and have a seance. Don't go to a cemetery and use a Ouija board. Don't do stupid stuff like that, because you're asking for a world of hurt. People have had I brought an attachment home with me one time. It was my fault. I did it. I forgot to do. I have a little ritual before I go in. I have a little ritual before I come out. I really have to be careful, just being that I've had this experience before. But I always take the time to make sure I do everything right before and after. And it was an all-night investigation. I was tired. We were up all night, and we got in the car and left. And I started having some serious issues. And it wasn't issues. I wasn't having door slam. I wasn't seeing things. I had some serious emotional trauma. I was so angry that I was thinking the most horrible thoughts ever that I've ever thought in my entire life. And I, thank God, thought about it. And I thought, oh my God, I brought something home with me. I literally locked myself in my room. And I called them and I said, listen, something's wrong. I'm literally having the most evil, awful, horrible thoughts. Something's wrong. And of course we took care of it, but scary things can happen, guys. It really can. So please don't sit in your basement and ask somebody to show themselves. Don't ask for something to happen, because that's inviting it in.
I do have a bunch of questions.
Don't do it.
I do have a bunch of questions coming in from our listeners here. We're going to start off with Joe and the SOR Space Travelers. You mentioned Ouija boards. When you were going through this as a family, did you ever try to communicate or mess around with a Ouija board, tarot cards, or anything like that to try and gain communication with this entity?
Never. The only time that anybody tried to communicate with it was when we were trying to gather evidence. Before, I briefly mentioned that, the Catholic Church kind of shied away at a point. When Ed and Lorraine Warren did come into the picture, the only way they were able to get the help was the Catholic Church required a certain level of evidence. That is the only time that anybody made contact specifically. They did talk to it. They did call it out. They did say, show yourself. They played music. They said rosaries, Catholic objects and music and things like that, and said, at that point there wasn't all of the equipment that there is now, so it was more of simple things like, knock once for yes, twice for no. So they did, tape recordings and things like that. Other than that, that was the only time anyone ever tried to communicate with anything in the home.
Amanda would like to know, since this first began to you, have you become more sensitive to the spirit world?
Absolutely. It just got stronger and stronger. Being that I was seeing this when I was 3-4 years old, it kind of just continued. And the interesting part is and this is why this is still an ongoing thing. We're still looking for answers. This is not ended. We still do not have all the answers that we need. I don't think we ever will, but to answer her question, it's crazy because now that we're, of course, I'm the youngest. I'm 37. I have a daughter. She's 15. We all have our own children now, and we're all living in different homes, and we still all have, including my parents, we still all have activity. And it's nothing like it was. I don't want people to think, I still have demonic activity. Every once in a while, someone is scratched. I have pictures. I mean, I've woken up or been in the shower. I've got scratches on my back, but those things are rare. It's more of seeing things moving. But I can tell right away when I go into somewhere. I can tell if there's something there. I can feel the energy. I can tell if it's something good or bad. Yes, I do believe that good spirits visit us as well. I have been visited by, grandparents. They come through. My whole house smells like roses during certain times of the year. I know they're here. In times where I'm having, a rough time, it's kind of like they pop in to say hello. You're okay. We're here. We got your back. I can see. I guess to me it shows to me it's a positive and a negative. For me specifically, I get a awful, horrible, sick, dark feeling when something bad is around, and I get a hey guys, like I know you're here, checking up on me. It's all good. Like I know somebody's here, and it's a positive energy. Like I can't really explain it. It's like the complete opposite of what I feel. I don't get that heavy, sick feeling. I see the same way. I see darker for negative. I see lighter for positive. My daughter has come down to me and said, hey, Mom, I was just in the bathroom and this happened. Okay, are you scared? No. Are you okay? Are you going to be all right? Yeah, okay. She's going to bed. Like, it doesn't even faze her. These kids are so desensitized. My sister's kids, same thing. From the moment she can remember, her kids have all been able to see, feel, hear. My twin sister, her daughter's 6. She's seeing, she's hearing. It's like getting stronger kind of as the family goes on. It's really strange. I can't explain it. When I was 7 years old, Lorraine Warren sat down in my kitchen and she said, you, and you guys are sensitive and you're going to know things your whole life and it's going to get stronger as you get older. And she pointed to me, my older sister, my mom, and my dad. She said, you 4 are, you guys just know things. You're always going to. You're always going to see things. And she's right. Out of the 6 of us, 2 of my sisters really have not had any experiences after the last exorcism. They haven't really had any experiences of their own after that point in time. So it's interesting that she sat in my house and said, you 4, and the 4 of us are the ones that continue to have issues to this day. The other 2 kind of really don't, but it's all been passed through the kids. Like every single person in the family just continues to be able to see and hear, and it gets stronger and stronger. It's really strange. Dave, I can't explain it. If you can explain it to me, Dave.
Oh, I have no answer.
Please let me, because I still don't have. People say, why you? I'm like, listen, I don't even know, because I wouldn't want to talk to me every night. I don't know why they're coming around. I'm boring. I'm sitting here watching Netflix. I don't know what they want from me.
You know what? It's funny. It's funny you say that, because I was having that same conversation this past weekend about why me. Why did my happily boring life end in 2011? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all of these experiences, from paranormal to Bigfoot to UFOs and aliens, all of a sudden fire up. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand it. Right. I still can't explain it. And I've made such a commitment to learning this, and it seems like every time I think I'm getting close, another 10 doors are right behind the door I just opened, and I got to try and open each and one of those individually, and it's tough. And I feel for you on that.
And what's interesting, and I'd love for your listeners to know, because I know not everybody's Catholic. I don't push my Catholicism on anybody. I don't go. God, I please hope some of my friends aren't listening to this when I say this. I don't go to church every Sunday. I'm horrible, but I feel that as long as I live a good life, I don't have to go to church and sit in a church and just go every Sunday. I'm a good person. I pray at home. I live a good life. I do good deeds. I think that's what really matters in the scheme of things. You're not a bad person if you don't go to church every Sunday. I don't care if you're atheist. I don't care if you're Protestant, Muslim, Catholic, Jewish. I don't care what you are. As long as you live a good life and you're a good person, that's how you're going to be judged. So I'm sure I'll catch some flack for that one, but whatever. It is what it is. I don't pull punches. I am who I am. So I think people need to know, you know, not everybody is convinced at this point in their life that there is a heaven or a hell, or that there's you know, somewhere that you go after this. You know, some people think, you know, you get put in a box, they throw dirt on you, and that's it. I can sit here and tell people that that's not true, and again, until they have their own experiences, they might not understand that. But just take my word for it. Like, I've had so many experiences, good and bad. Trust me, you know, I try to give people peace of mind. I do counsel people, too, because people will say, you know, my friend just committed suicide, or my friend just overdosed, and I miss her. I want her to know I love her. I said, listen, she does know. They are around. They don't just leave. The big thing to understand is, somebody asked me, how do I know the difference between what's good and what's evil? If somebody's in my home, or I think there's a ghost, how do I know the difference? If somebody, let's say your grandfather died, or like I said, your friend passed away, and you're having a hard time and you want to communicate, they're there. Trust me. They're giving you little signs. Not everybody pays attention. Sometimes it's something so subtle that we miss it. But they're there, and they can hear you, and they know that you love them. Trust me on that. So if you're going through a hard time, believe me, they know. And if somebody tries to communicate with you, if you're sitting there watching a movie, and you say, oh, I heard somebody call my name. If somebody's trying to communicate with you, it's probably not somebody that you want to communicate back with. Because if it's a loved one, there are limits. God does not let them come here and tell us what to expect on the other side. There's limits as to what they're allowed to do. Now, the demonic, they have free reign. They will tell you that they're your grandfather. They'll tell you that, hey, I'm your best friend. Hey, talk to me. Come on, I'm right here. If it's truly a good spirit, they're not going to do that. They're not going to come to you in the middle of the night and sit next to you in your bed and have a conversation with you. Okay? So be careful who you are talking to. If you think it's a loved one, say hi, move on. Say hi, you know, I love you, thanks for coming, end it there. You know, don't try to, that spirit is moved on, they're not supposed to be there. Don't try to bring them in. Don't try to have a conversation with them. It's really easy to get tricked. It's really easy when somebody's in pain or you're grieving over the death of someone. It is super easy for the demonic to come in and take advantage of that and to trick you and say, oh, she's hurting. She's upset. She misses her best friend. Let's go in and use that against her. Trust me, it has happened. You want to be careful. Don't always assume that, you know, you're going to sit and communicate with or get answers from somebody that just passed away last week. It's a very fine line that you walk when it comes to the other side. It's really sketchy.
We got about 3 minutes before we go to break, and I'm going to assume then you're not a real fan of Huff Paranormal and what Steve Huff is doing then. That's a good enough answer right there. I'm going to leave it at that. I want to get to one question. Sure, let's move on. Let's not waste our oxygen on that. Shar in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker is asking, in her mom's house, her mom heard growling. Did you hear a lot of growling or voices in your home?
Yes. Growling, snarling, pig noises, like a hog, like a wild boar. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. That worries me. Yeah, all those different kinds of noises are not good. And somebody asked me one time, could it be my pet? Your dog? That's not your dog. That's not your dog that you had for 15 years that passed away. No. Yeah, there was definitely. I have an interesting story when we come back. I actually, my mom and dad are actually getting ready to move. They've been packing up and downsizing. And my mom gave me a box of books. And I actually was flipping through it as we were talking here. And when we come back, I actually have an interesting addition to that question if we have a moment.
Oh, yeah, we can always make time. We still got about 2 minutes left.
Okay, I can actually finish that now if you want.
Sure, go right for it.
Sure. There is actually a passage in the book. Of course, there was a long hallway upstairs, just like there is in most two-floor houses. There's one picture in here that actually, oh my God, it actually doesn't sit well with me. It's just a picture of the hallway. That's all it is. It's just a long hallway. And we used to hear running up and down that hallway. And when I say running, I mean, it's hard to explain because it's a hallway with carpet, but if you've ever heard like hoofs on a horse, that's what we used to hear running up and down the hallway. And this picture is kind of to depict to the reader that the night my father was attacked, he was standing at the end of the hallway, and a half-human, half-animal monster actually charged my father and knocked him over and pinned him down that night. And that's exactly how it was. That's exactly how it's described, with hooves and growling and teeth and snarling like half dog. Like I guess they use the term. The popular term is hellhound. Something you only hear about in movies, but that's pretty much. My dad was pretty much charged at night, and I mean it literally chased him down the hallway and pinned him down. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned about that listener, actually, if she still has that issue and she's still hearing that.
Well,
I think it's time
she is in the chat room. We can figure that out, I'm sure, during the break.
Yeah.
Char can post an update on that. Carin, I'm going to get you to hold on. We're going to take our break here at the bottom of the hour. Carin Smurl is our guest. What an incredible guest with an incredible story. Very knowledgeable. What a pleasure it is to actually have the opportunity to chat with her tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to step away for a break right now. When we come back, more of your questions and more about the Smurl family haunting. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Would you like to expand your clientele? Have you ever thought of online radio advertising? Check out spacedoutradio.com to get your name out there. Our listeners support those who advertise with us, so why not give it a try? We have the most competitive advertising prices out there. Just click on the advertising tab on spacedoutradio.com and contact us today.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness. You can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I don't want to take a thing from you, I just want to feel like something real with you.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you along with us for the ride tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, the crypto historian Rob Morphy will be back with some interesting crypto history from around North America. Hey, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. While there, peruse around. I love that word, peruse around. You can check out who we affiliate ourselves with. You can also check out the SOR Spacewire, our blog section, our music master, the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, who takes care of all of our music as well. You can join the SOR Space Travelers, where for only $5 a month, join the club, get a private section on our website, your name automatically entered into monthly draws, and so much more. Unlike the other radio shows doing this out there, we're giving you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. Tonight we are talking with Carin Smurl. We're talking the Smurl family haunting. And what an interesting story indeed. I don't think there's enough time to actually go through every single event that Carin has been through. Carin, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us tonight on Spaced Out Radio.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dave.
Oh, you're so kind. So kind. I appreciate that. Your story is very, very similar to what the Perrin family went through. And Andrea Perrin has been on this show, and she wanted to tell the real story behind the movie The Conjuring. Have you ever been approached by Hollywood to redo your family story? Oh, Lord, yes.
It's fun when you talk to somebody like Andrea and, like I said, my friend Deborah. Deborah's story was The Devil Made Me Do It. She was hers is in 1983. If you ever guys check that out, she's approached all the time as well because she was another Ed and Lorraine Warren case. And it's interesting because The Conjuring 1 and The Conjuring 2, we get it. If they weren't scary, would we go see them? Absolutely not. We would say, oh, that was crappy. That didn't scare. We would absolutely, nobody would go see it. So they have to make it scary. And now, as if the real stories were not scary enough, we do know, that they need to make it, they need to put in special effects and they need to add things. We all know that. But it's frustrating because it's good for the box office, but we do at some point want people to hear the real story. And not that it's not real, it's just they do add a lot of stuff. And from what I hear, from the Enfield case and from Andrea, you're lucky if it's 40 to 60% true. I mean, they do add a lot of things, but we have been getting scripts for some time now. People keep tagging me on things on Facebook saying, the director of The Conjuring 1 and Conjuring 2, he wants to move out of that 70s era and move into the 80s, which is, of course, right where we fit in. I talked to my mom the other day. My mom's big concern was, we don't want to relive it again. We understand that you're going to make, what did the first Conjuring make? Like something ridiculous, like $200 and some million. My mom said, we understand, you're going to make a lot of money, but here's the problem. You're not the one that has to relive it. You're not the one who has to deal with the media. You're not the one who has to, just deal with it all again. So what I've been trying to do is, kind of play the other angle. I said, Mom, listen, I have so many Facebook friends and so many people that reach out to say, stay strong. You have our prayers. God bless your parents. You guys are awesome. I mean, so many people do that. I said to my mom, listen, it's a different time. My mom's not on Facebook. My mom's not on Twitter. My mom doesn't even have internet at her house. She just retired. They don't want anything to do with that. They don't have a fancy cell phone. They want to live normal life. So my mom doesn't understand that things are different now. We were mocked so horribly, and so many people said, we did it for the money. It was a hoax. To the people who say we did it for money, my God, where is my money? We didn't get any money. We didn't have, what kind of fame did we have? People know who we are. Great. For so many years, we were harassed by the newspaper and by, just the naysayers. It was awful. It was terrible. For years and years, the media was trying to catch us off guard, whether they were standing on the porch or waiting for you to come out of a grocery store. Years and years after it was out of the news. So it's been really hard for my mom to get that because she's not into like the whole social media thing. She doesn't realize that it is so different. So I'm constantly pounding her and saying, Mom, it's different. It's not like that anymore. People are on your side now. People have your back now. They believe you. It's like I'm trying to kind of reprogram her because so many people are like, tell your story. Amityville was huge. The Enfield, of course, case now, it's becoming more popular, and Andrea's story, but the Amityville is so huge. The The Exorcist, that was huge, and so many people say, we want you to we want to hear your story. Like, you guys have such a fascinating story, we want to hear it. And I'm like, my mom just wants it done the right way. My mom she does not want that whole situation. She doesn't want, 40% truth and 60%, let's add some cinematography and special effects and add a whole bunch of things that aren't true. She doesn't want that. So until somebody sends her a script that's, probably 80% true, maybe 20%, I don't really think she's going to be on board with it. She said, listen, when I die, you girls can do whatever you want. But while I'm still on this earth, I want it done the right way.
And you can't blame her for that.
Absolutely not.
You look at it. Took 15 years before Travis Walton finally came out about Fire in the Sky, saying the movie was nothing like his personal experience when he was taken in Snowflake, Arizona.
Right.
And Andrea Perrin, the way that they crucified Bathsheba in the movie, whereas Andrea was saying, I'm still in communication with Bathsheba. It was nothing to do with her. It can ruin the whole story. And like you said, the limelight isn't on the movie director or Hollywood. It's focused now on your family. You guys are getting the attention, whether it's good or bad, and they're the ones making all the money off of you.
Mm-hmm. And this has been going on for, it's almost 30-year anniversary is going to be rolling around. So they're pushing it hard. But I'll tell you what, I talked to my friend Deb, and, we did a radio show about this not long ago. We talked about this, the two of us together on the show. We said, because they're sending her scripts too. We were accused for so long of it being a hoax and being for money, and it never was. And now my mom and Deb and myself, we all said the same thing now. You want to make $220 million off my family, buy your little island and buy your Ferrari and Mercedes and your Lexus and your Bugatti and, have your 5 vacation homes. You know what? After 30 years, we're all working. Give us each a couple bucks, Now it's time to show me the money, because I'll tell you what, we went through hell and back for all these years. You want to make $220? My mom said, listen, give us $600,000. She said, give us $100,000 for all 6 of us. My mom said, I think that's pretty fair considering you're going to make $200 million. She goes, we're not even asking for, and it's the truth. God love her. My parents are both retired. They can barely afford the home. You get older. They both had pacemakers put in. Their medication, God forbid, I don't ever want to get old. My dad always was a hard worker. My mom just retired. 2 of them have pacemakers. Their medication alone is like $500 a month. Just to keep their pacemakers going and their blood pressure and everything. My mom said we can barely afford to even live in our retirement. But they want us to tell the story and have people writing us articles about us in the newspaper again. And, we're going to be on the local news again. And everywhere we go, we're going to go to the grocery store and people are going to point at us again. She's like, why are we going to do this for free again? Like, why? So, it's crazy. And I'm curious. I would love to know. I didn't get to talk to Andrea, but I hope she got something for that movie. I really hope she did. Because her family deserve it too.
It's amazing how many people in this field want to take advantage of you. I'd like to change the topic on that point. What do you think of mediums? Shar in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker would like to know. Do you believe that mediums should be involved in a case like yours?
This field is such a tough field, and I'm sure you'll agree with me 110%. It's such a crazy field, because although most people approach it as a scientific field, which is what, if you're a good paranormal investigator, that's how you should be approaching it. But unfortunately, unlike the rest of the sciences, even religion, you don't have a degree. Most people, you're not going to school. People have degrees in certain things, whether it's counseling or maybe parapsychology or something like that. But there's no degree. There's no degree or certificate for being a medium or a psychic or a clairvoyant or a sensitive, or a demonologist for that matter. So it's kind of such a sketchy field in the fact that it's hard to prove and disprove people. Anybody can come advertise themselves as a medium on Facebook. Anybody can come out and say, I'm a clairvoyant. There are people that are legitimate 110%, but unfortunately there's so many fakes and frauds out there that it puts such a bad light on the people that are for real. And it's a really sad situation. Unfortunately, a lot of people get taken advantage of. I've met some real talented people with some from actual gifts, and I've also met ones that are so full of it their eyes are brown. So, unfortunately, for the average person who's looking for help, it's really a scary situation because, as we mentioned before, you don't know who you're inviting into your home. You don't know who can really help you, and I feel bad. Every time I'm on a radio show, I tell people, please, if you know somebody that needs help, don't hesitate to ask, because I will not let somebody come into your house who I think is a fake or a fraud. I will help you research that person, because I don't want you to be taken advantage of. And if somebody offers to come to your home and charge you for it, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Don't even bother with that person. I honestly, I don't have a good answer for that question because there are very gifted people out there. But Dave, you know how many fakes there are out there too.
Oh yes, absolutely I do.
It's so hard.
It very much is. Shar has another question for you. Carin, does telling your story call it back in every time you talk about it?
No. I don't see any spikes in activity just because I'm talking about it. I can't say I ever have. I mean, that's a pretty short answer. I don't. Just talking about it, I have my ways to protect myself. We joke around. I have my holy water. I have, I pray. I'm to the point now where, when it starts to kind of kick up, I'm to the point where it's just like me and my sister, we joke about it so much. It's funny, Dave. I'll be literally standing in the middle of my kitchen and it throws its little temper tantrums once in a while when it doesn't like what's going on. I'll be like, listen, really? You don't even know. I had a bad day at work. This happened. I don't have time for you today. You really need to take yourself somewhere else because I have no energy left to deal with you today. I leave literally to the point where you just talk to it yeah, this is my house, get out. And does it always listen? No, but I don't see any spikes in activity just from literally talking about it in my house like this. It's typically if the activity spikes for some reason, one of my sisters will literally call me because they'll be like, "Hey, what's going on this week?" And I'll be like, "Why?" And they're telling me, "Well, I had this happen, I had this happen, I had this happen. Is there something? Is there a holiday coming up? Is there an anniversary? Why is everybody having activity?" There's typically spikes in time throughout the year, not so much based on stuff like this.
You carry around holy water with you. You use laughter as a form of medicine. How has those two products, well, laughter's not really a product, but it's a product of yourself. How has that helped you feel safer and your family safer?
You have to. Honestly, my mom, we talk, I'm very close. We talk all the time. And my mom says, listen, if you didn't laugh, you'd be crazy by now. You honestly have to just joke about it because you would seriously be nuts. It takes such a toll on you emotionally. For every once in a while, I'll break down and cry, but it's not usually. Somebody will send me something on Facebook, whether it's an article. I have a hard time watching the movie. When I watch the movie, I don't watch it often. Every once in a while, I'll watch it just because, and I can't get through the whole thing. I end up crying. Just because I know it was a tough time for my parents, and it was terrifying. But now you have to laugh at it. You truly do. Laughter is the best medicine. I have everybody is crazy on my Facebook. Everybody's crazy in my family. I have crazy, amazing friends. Everybody jokes. They send me the craziest stuff on Facebook. If it's a ghost joke or a demon joke, they send it to me. They say, "Ho, Carin, we think you would love that," and I love that. People are amazed that I love horror movies. I'm a horror buff. I love that stuff. Granted, half the time I end up sleeping with the lights on, but, I do love that stuff. I really do. But you have to laugh because that's what it wants. It does truly attack you mentally and physically. And when we were talking before about people inviting it into their life, you don't really know. You don't know that it's happening to you almost. Because it's little things. And then it does, people who are married, the married couples start to have turmoil, and maybe somebody starts to get sick, and then the kids, maybe something happens with the children, and it just it takes jabs in ways that you're not thinking to yourself. The demonic doesn't always knock over a book or, open up a cabinet and slam it. It works on you mentally and physically. That's why there's stages. That's why they talk about oppression and possession. There's different stages, and it works on you from all angles. So you have to stay strong mentally, You have to find, ways to stay strong. Spiritually, again, whether it's, whether you're a Wiccan or an atheist or Jewish or I don't care what you are, you have to find a way to stay strong in your heart, in your mind, and in your family. That's the only way to survive it.
Do you happen to know if your former family home is still possessed?
I have never heard of anything going on. There's different community groups, and people message me all the time to say, hey, my aunt lived in your house for 6 months. I lived here with I've heard over the years, so many people have contacted me to tell me, and not one person has ever said anything has happened there. It's, I've gotten, unfortunately, we don't know if this is related because we've never had a tenant say to us that they've had any activity. Unfortunately, in the past 30 years since we've been gone, there has been 2 deaths in the home. There's been a drug overdose, and there's been an accident. We're not sure that the person took a fall. We're not sure how the fall happened. All we know is that there was a fall, and the person either broke their neck or something happened, but it was a fatal fall inside the home. There has been 2 deaths. Again, we don't know if they're related in any way because everybody's always said it's clean. They've said they've never felt any negative energy. They've never had any experiences. And this is like at least a dozen people, whether they lived on one side or the other. We've never been told there's been any activity.
How did Ed and Lorraine Warren get involved?
My mom had a really, really good friend who lived on the same street. She lived a few houses up. And, of course, best friend, confided in her all the time. And she knew exactly what was going on. And, my mom got to the point where she said, I can't take this anymore. I don't know what to do. And one night she called my mom up and she said, oh, my gosh, I just saw these people on TV. And remember, back when there was a TV guide, an actual TV guide that they mailed to your home, you'd get this little paper TV guide and tell you what was on TV all week. There was an article in the TV guide about them, coming up on Friday night, Ed and Lorraine Warren, blah, blah, blah. So, it was in the TV guide. She saw the program, and she called my mom and said, you'll never believe what I saw. I think these people can help you. So my mom actually contacted the station that they were on, and then she found out they were going to be at a local college doing a lecture. And my mom went there and stayed, and said, listen, we're having some issues. We need help. And they agreed, of course, to take the address and stop by while they were in the area.
Were you excited to finally have someone come in, listen to you, and believe you and offer help?
Yes. I was young, but I think for my mom and my dad, that was like huge. They were just so alone for so long. And that was just, we definitely wouldn't have, I honestly, I don't know what would have happened. I really don't. I really have no idea where we would be today. But it was, Ed Warren, was ex-military. My dad was ex-Navy. And he really, was able to, they were able to, they had something in common. And, he was able to kind of keep my dad grounded, keep my dad strong. And, of course, Lorraine, she's just the sweetest woman that you could ever meet. And, she was able to come in and give my mom peace of mind. It was priceless. I have no words. Their involvement and their help was priceless. And they have such a bad rap. Some people call, the stories that are out there, the naysayers, some people have talked so badly about them. And, oh my God, it's so not true. They're just the best people. And if they were fake and they were frauds and they just were doing it for publicity, I don't think they would have stayed in touch and gone to the lengths that they went to. You don't do that kind of work for free. When people say they did it for this book, or of course they did it for a book. If you're a demonologist and you live in Connecticut and you're traveling all over the country to help somebody, I can't blame them for writing a book here and there to have money to travel. I mean, I would love to travel and help the people. I tell people, I just can't do it. I'm 37. I work full time. I have a 15-year-old. I cannot afford to come out there. So for somebody to knock them for writing a book and making money off that, okay, that's your opinion. But they stayed in contact with my parents Ed stayed in contact with my father right up until he passed. Would call my dad, hey, Jack, what's up? How are you doing? How's this? Every once in a while, just to check in. Whenever they were in town working on another case, they'd stop by my parents and visit. Lorraine, she just recently, she's headed downhill. God love her. She's not doing so hot, but just up until recently, she was talking to my mom once a month. How's everything? How are the kids? How are the grandkids? I don't think somebody who was fake or fraud would stay involved and be praying for you and be checking up on you for 30 years.
That is true. And on that note, we're going to continue with the Ed and Lorraine Warren talk right after the break. Carin Smurl is our guest tonight. We're talking about her family haunting that basically impacted her youth and her sister's youth as well. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Final hour kicking off here on Spaced Out Radio. Tomorrow night on the show, the crypto historian Rob Morphy is back for his monthly edition of The Crypto Historian, as he tells us some of the weird and strange sightings from around North America. That's tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. If you're a social media junkie like I am, you can follow me on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com, where you can hear the show nice and clear, along with our music master, the guitar god, former Guns N' Roses lead guitarist, Bumblefoot, who takes care of all of our musical needs. And you can join the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Hey, that's cheaper than a Starbucks coffee, and we're giving you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. Tonight we are talking with Carin Smurl. She has pretty much been around the paranormal since 1978 when she was born, and it's been affecting her and her family ever since. Carin, welcome back.
Hello, Dave.
Right before the break, we were talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren, and you were explaining the type of people that they were. I mean, 30 years after, they're still in contact. Well, not so much Ed, but Lorraine is in contact with your family, calling once a month, checking up on your mother. And I agree with you with what you said right before the break. If they were phony, or they were fake, or they were people who had, were trying to use you for publicity, there's no way ever that they would stay in touch with you just to make sure that the family is okay.
No, absolutely not. I'm not even half as talented as they are, and it is so hard for me to keep up. Like, I try to answer everybody's questions. I try to keep in touch with everybody, and I never forget anybody, but sometimes I'm like, oh my God, listen, I didn't forget you. I know it's 2 weeks later, but, I'm only one person. So, the fact that they just spend so much time and energy, and I'll tell you what, again, this is not my case, but just to kind of let you know what kind of people, my friend who I said was the devil made me do it, is the name of the movie. And I do radio shows with her every week. And again, she's a little bit older, so her case was a little bit before mine. She lives in Connecticut, so she was a little bit closer in, proximity to the Warrens. So she, they stayed with her the whole way. I mean, they stayed with her her whole life as well. I mean, getting together for dinners and cookouts and, calling on birthdays and things like that. And, she had a pretty amazing case. Where her husband was actually accused. Well, there was a demonic possession involved in her case, and the husband actually ended up being possessed. It was a murder case. He actually ended up killing someone, and he was accused of murder. And Ed and Lorraine Warren not only stayed by her side her whole entire life. I mean, they were in court every single day. I mean, every day. For weeks and months, and did everything that they could, to help her and help her family. If you ever have a chance to check that one out, that's a good story. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And And again, you know, we get together on our radio shows and we talk about how amazing they are. And she says the same thing. She's like, you know, I've never met a more amazing spirit than her. She is fantastic. She is just the sweetest, most genuine, kindest person you'll ever meet. Like, she's like everybody's sweet little old grandma. She's just like the best person ever, you know. And she always came into the house, and she just always was there to comfort you. Like, it's okay, sweetheart, or like just to take the time to sit down and play she'd be talking to my parents and just to sit down, you know, to color on the coloring book or do a puzzle with, you know, me and my sister, we were little, you know, whatever new toy that we had at the time, you know, I'll play a game with you. I'll, you know, fix your doll's hair, like just the little things that even today's paranormal investigators just don't do. You know, you don't see the people taking the time to do those things. It was like they were family. Oh, you know, we're going to come in, we're going to have cake, and we're going to have sandwiches, and we're going to order pizza. And they were just there. They weren't there to capture the evidence. They were there to get to know you as people, to comfort you, to counsel you. You know, if something happened at 4 o'clock in the morning, my mom could call them up and say, you know, this, that, we need prayers, help. Okay, we're coming. We'll be there in 8 hours. I mean, who does that? I don't know any paranormal investigators that are going to do that today.
And they really, really went out of their way to make sure that you guys were getting help. They believed in everything your family was going through. And in the meantime, that had to give your family some sort of strength to know that they weren't going to be letting you down. They weren't going to be walking away, much like the Catholic Church did.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they already, you know, of course, my parents knew about these other kids. My parents knew about, you know, Andrea Perrin and Deborah, and because they would say, listen, you're not the only ones. We've helped this lady. We've helped this lady. We've done this. We've got you. We're gonna stay with you until this is okay. Just to kind of let them know you're not alone. You're not going to be alone. You know, and they would help. There was a lot of criticism about different. There was a criticism. I'm trying to think if it was a newspaper or a TV station. Somebody had asked Ed and Lorraine Warren, well, if you have evidence, release it to us. And he said, oh, we don't have it. We gave it to the church or something to that effect. And they were like, oh, he's lying because he said he had video and then he wouldn't release it and he lied. And then the church said they didn't have it. You know what, people? Guess what? Sometimes you have to tell a little white lie now and then because it's none of your business. You know, there's no reason that somebody that's helping us should have to release videos or recordings of our life to the news media just so that we can prove to you that we're not lying. This is a sensitive time. That's like, you know, I have people contact me and they're like, people I went to high school with. There's a couple people that I'm working with that are like, well, please don't tell anybody. Please don't tell anybody. Listen, that's like confidentiality is number one. Okay. I'm not going to tell anybody your name, your address, who I'm helping, what I found in your house. It's none of their business. I'm here to help you, and I'm here to help your family and to get a resolution and to get you peace. If you want to tell the media or you want to tell the newspaper, that's on you. If somebody asks me not to give out any information, that's what I'm going to do. I don't have to prove to anybody that you have a ghost in your house. That's not my job. That's not what I'm here for. Therefore, if my mom and dad asked Ed and Lorraine to keep something private, and that's their job, and they were being professional. That's all I have to say about that.
Interesting question from my news director, Eric Markham, in the Space Out Radio chat room. Do you think Ed ever contacts Lorraine from the other side?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that question.
That's why he's our news director.
Oh, I like that. I would say, now, you know, of course, I'm just speaking from my experience, but I would say absolutely. But again, I think this goes back to what we were talking about before. Being that I'm Catholic and what I've seen and there's so many things I can sit here and tell you that I've experienced. I could talk for 10 hours. my nephew, when my grandparents passed away, my dad was heartbroken, of course. First my grandfather passed away, and then 2 years later, my grandmother passed away. So within 2 years, my dad lost his mom and his dad. And they always lived on the other side of a duplex. They were there his whole entire life. So why am I bringing that up? Because he was heartbroken. And my nephew, my oldest sister, Dawn, who was the oldest, she had a little boy, my nephew. He was 3 years old at the time. And he walked into my house one time, and he climbed up on my dad's lap, and he patted my dad on the belly and said, "Pop up, pop up, pop up." And my dad said, "What?" He said, Grandma and Grandpa just want you to know that they're okay and you don't have to be sad. They know that you're sad. Don't be sad. They're together and they're happy and they're okay." Okay, that comes from a 3-year-old, okay? So, I mean, I've had tons of experiences like that throughout my life, whether it's myself, my nephews, my nieces, anybody in my family. I have seen both sides. So for somebody as in love as Ed and Lorraine, and someone they've been, side by side, and they have such a wonderful love story. He was in the service, and it's just, he proposed to her. They have such an amazing story, and they were together for so long, and they were so close and such strong Catholics. To think that he does not contact her from the other side is crazy. Is he talking to her? No, but I think he's there watching her, and I think being that she has gifts, I think she knows he's there waiting for her. Absolutely. 100%.
How long did it take before Ed and Lorraine determined that you had a demon running around your home?
I know not long because, oh my goodness, because of because of Lorraine's abilities. It didn't take her long to figure that out when she came into the home. But of course, again, they had to get the evidence. But for her personally, it's not long. She came into the home. She walked around and she got a feel for the house. And I remember when she sat my parents down. Again, I was young, but she sat my parents down and said, "This is what you have." And now the process of we need to collect the evidence. I think she knew right away. I think it was instant. She came in. She knew exactly what was going on there, and the rest of the time it just pretty much was gathering the evidence that the church wanted to come in. Because she said, "Listen, you have 4 spirits here." She said flat out, like, "This is what you have." She made no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She sat my parents down and said, "You have 4 spirits. The first one is a woman. She's an old woman. She's harmless. The second woman, she's a little nuts. I forget what the word that was that she used. Either psychotic, bipolar. She used some mental, issue to describe this woman. She said she's a little bit dangerous. Because she's a little bit off. The third spirit is a man. These are all human spirits. Third one is a man. He's dangerous. He can hurt you. And the fourth spirit is demonic. And the spirit that's demonic is kind of using the first 3 spirits as his puppets to do what he wants. So he's controlling them. He's using them. So yes, we were told we had 4 spirits, 3 human and 1 demonic.
What was it like to live in the house previous to Ed and Lorraine coming in and seeing the activity that was there? Was it chairs shuffling around? Was it just shadows and noises? Was it poltergeist activity that you were having and then Ed and Lorraine were able to capture on camera when they got involved?
Yes. There was, besides the smells, I mean, you had your typical, like, just bad smells. I mean, you had your, sulfur or smelling rotten egg kind of smells. You did have what we talked about before, like the growlings, the gruntings, different things like that. There was knocking everywhere. I mean, whether it was my parents' room, my sisters would hear it in their closet. I know at some point my sister tried to catch it herself. My sister actually did take her own tape recorder at the time, and she tried to capture the knocking sounds coming from the closet at night. Of course, there was, like I said, the physical, issues, the pushing, the scratching, the bite marks, different things. And yes, there was a lot of electronic issues. The TV's acting up. It's just, it's glowing, it's changing channels, there's white noise, there's static. My dad gets up, he turns it off, it keeps up. He physically unplugs it from the power source. It doesn't stop. There's drawers opening and closing. I'll tell you what, the temper tantrums, like things like the cabinets opening and closing, the more poltergeist activity where things are flying around, that tended to kind of flare up more after a blessing, after a priest came to bless, after somebody came to investigate. That's when that stuff really flared up. I would say it was more of that's how I describe it. I've always described it as a temper tantrum. It was always the physical stuff. My mom was home alone. She got choked. My dad got attacked. Somebody was pushed, scratched, bitten, thrown down the stairs. It was always physical. But anytime somebody came in, or the Warrens called and said, we're coming in for the weekend, or, a priest came to say a blessing, or somebody said a rosary, that's when there would always be like that night, would be like, it would flare up and, doors are opening, closing, cabinets are slamming. It just would like throw a hissy fit like a little baby. Like you just took, your kid's favorite toy away. Just kind of let you know it was aggravated. So that's what I say. I describe that stuff as more of temper tantrum than poltergeist. It really was. It really was always more physical, trying to physically harm you until it had a reason to throw a little temper tantrum.
And how often was that? Was it, in putting it in a timeline perspective, was it things that happened once a week? Was it once every couple of weeks? Was it every day that something new was happening?
Every day something happened, whether it be something really small to something really big. It got to the point where it was every day. Because my sister was older and she was in high school, and of course my dad couldn't be called out of work all the time. I mean, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, 4 kids. My dad had to be at work. I mean, he's the manager. He has to be there making money. So when it got really bad during the day, of course, my mom would call the school and my sister would come home. And there were times where, my mom would just kind of leaned on my sister during the day because she was the oldest. And, she just got to the point where she was scared or didn't want to be, or she had an experience that just scared the crap out of her. And, was just like, I need you to come home. And, whether it was just somebody was taking a shower, sometimes, somebody was in the shower and maybe, they saw a shadow walk by, or the shower curtain was opened, or sometimes it was something small like that. So, I mean, it wasn't always something horrific, or, you're standing there taking, you're standing there doing dishes and, the cellar door opens or something, and then it slams shut. So it wasn't always like horrifying, but it was definitely always just something. Like my mom said, she's like, my mom always says it was just exhausting. It was just exhausting because it was always just something.
Stone has a question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker for you. Did any of these entities show themselves in anyone's dreams inside the house?
Dreams. I'm really thinking about that one. I would say no. I truly, honestly have to say no. I don't remember anyone having nightmares about seeing anything. Honestly, it was pretty much all like in your face. It was, you're having a good night's sleep and all hell broke loose. In the middle of the night. It was. I don't think my parents slept much. I remember my parents quit smoking years ago, but I remember quite vividly my parents being 2 packs a day smokers because they just were constantly up all night long, or they're in the kitchen talking. Or I don't think my parents slept much. I know I never had any nightmares. I don't remember anybody to the point where they were waking up screaming with night terrors. I don't remember anybody ever talking about, the stuff I saw in my nightmare. I really don't. I think it was all more just in-your-face reality, to be honest with you.
Getting back to the Warrens and them coming into your home and spending weekends with you, how long did the process take in their investigation?
Well, from the time they came in, I'm trying to think. From the time they came in until the actual first exorcism. Oh boy. I'm going to say a few months from the time, about 4, 5, 6 months from the time they actually physically got involved till the time the very first exorcism was done.
Where were you during the exorcism purpose when they were trying to cleanse the house? Because at that time...
We were all present.
Oh, you were?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Why would they... and pardon my curiosity here, but you would have been, what, at this time? 12, 13?
Oh, no, much younger than that. Much younger than that. When we physically, I think the timeline gets messed up a little bit in the book. When we physically moved out of that home, I was 7 years old, just about to turn 8. Because we did, because I was in 3rd grade. I had just turned 8 years old when we moved into the new home. I remember we had a birthday party, So I was 7, just about to turn 8 when we moved out of the home. So it was very quick. I mean, it was, you're talking 4 or 5 years old till the time I was 7. It wasn't a very long period of time. We moved in there in 1972, 73, and I was in 3rd grade by the time we moved out. Now, the thing you probably don't know, because you haven't been, researching as much, and this is why I actually hope my parents agreed to another movie. There's so much more to tell after the story, because when you do watch the movie, and it is on YouTube, guys. It's on YouTube. The full movie's there. Just Google The Haunted 1991. It is there. But the movie kind of ends with a little bit of a kind of a hint, and people missed it. I don't know why people missed it. It's in your face. It kind of says, it was kind of over, and they moved into the new home. At the end of the movie, my mom is in the, bringing boxes into the new home, and she hears her name being called. And it's my grandmother's voice, of course, and she says, "Yes, Mom, I'm in here." And she hears her name again, and she's like, "Mom, I'm in the kitchen." And, all of a sudden, my mom's face just changes. And it's kind of to insinuate that it didn't stop there. It followed us to the new house. This went on for years. We had 2 exorcisms in the original home, and we had 3 in the new home. It didn't stop. They kind of ended there, but it continued for quite a while. The last time the Warrens were actually at my home physically working on the case actively, I was probably 12, 13. Right. So, if they got involved when I was 5, you're talking 8 years. And and of course, like I said, it just didn't stop. I mean, one of the scariest experiences I ever had, besides, you know, being thrown down the stairs, but personally, the scariest thing I've ever experienced, I was 15 years old. My scariest moment when I was 15. So you're talking 1991, 92, 93. You're talking well into the 90s when I had my own personal scariest experience. So, I mean, it was quite a while. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more of the story to be told than what was actually in the book and the movie.
We have about 1 minute before we go to break here, and I just want to get to the point, like when you're sitting through as a child watching these exorcisms of your home take place, what's going through your mind at that time?
I was scared to death. I don't think, even though I knew what was going on, even though I knew what I was hearing, and I didn't sleep. I'm a night owl now. I'm on your show. I'm on the East Coast here, Dave. You know, it's 2:20. It's 2:25 a.m. here. But I'm a night owl, and I've always been a night owl, and I think it's because of the situation. I never slept well at night, so I'm a night owl. But I don't think that it really sunk in for me. Again, today's children, they're so desensitized with video games and movies. I didn't have all that, so even though I knew what was going on was really scary, and I was terrified, and I couldn't sleep at night, and I just, you know, wanted to run down the hallway to my mom's bedroom every 2 seconds, and it just scared me to death. I don't think I really grasped the concept of a demon, the devil, possession. I don't really think that kind of stuff sunk in at 5, 6, 7 years old. So when I started to see these things, and then now all of a sudden I've got 20 people in my house, and they're saying rosaries, and my parents, you know, hand me a pair of rosaries, and I'm kind of on my knees praying. I really was kind of terrified because I really didn't know what the heck was going to happen. And, you know, I'm like waiting for my house to, like, you know, like it's just like being scared. Like you're just like on the edge of your seat all the time. That's kind of the feeling that I had. But, you know, it was kind of a family thing. You know, you had to, everybody needed to be present and pray and fight this as a family. So I think that's kind of some things that the children lose in translation, because I don't think I really truly knew. I don't think I truly understood 100% at that point. You know what I mean? I really think that there, as a child, I was not 100% getting, you know, the severity of the situation like the adults were getting.
And on that note, we are going to hop out and take our final break of the night with our guest, Carin Smurl, talking about the Smurl family haunting and the involvement of Ed and Lorraine Warren. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us.
From the radio, commercials, to banners, to social media.
Have a product you'd like our host to endorse? We can do that too.
Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Missed most of tonight's show? Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and download our archives for free. And don't forget to get your Space Travelers membership today. Now, back to tonight's show. We've rounded third. We are heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the show, we step back into the crypto world. Our resident hip crypto historian, Rob Morphy, will be with us to talk about some weird, strange stories from around North America. Tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, for our archives. And again, our website is spacedoutradio.com, where you can tune into the show, you can check out our music master, Bumblefoot, read the SOR Space Wire, and join the SOR Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And yes, we are giving you much more value than just access to our archives. For the final time tonight, we introduce Carin Smurl, who's been gracious enough over the last 2.5 hours to tell us the experience that she went through as a child, as her family's home was haunted by a demonic force. Carin, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave.
How many exorcisms did the Warrens perform before they felt that they had got rid of this negative entity?
I believe altogether it was 5.
And each time, the entire family sat in?
Yes. The last exorcism, I'm not sure. How well-versed your audience is into the paranormal, but the priest that did most of the exorcisms was Father McKenna. Father McKenna has recently passed away over the last year. God rest his soul, but he was, he performed most of the exorcisms, and he actually performed also the final exorcism that we had. He performed the last one. We never had one after that. And it's amazing because it continued after that. I'm not sure at that point. Again, I was still young. I was not involved in these types of decisions. I'm not sure why other exorcisms were not performed. I'll tell you what, although it never went away, it did weaken each time. It definitely did. It definitely did weaken as each... So it's not that the exorcisms didn't work, because it did. It's amazing as you flip through the book, because there's a lot of things that the movie doesn't tell you. The movie is more of my mom's perspective, which is another reason I wish they would redo it, because there was a lot more of us that had a perspective. But it's mostly from her perspective and what she went through, trying to get the family help. But when you read the book, after each and every exorcism, it says, the house was filled with roses. There was a calm that came over the house for days. For days there was calm and everybody was optimistic. And then, it lasted 2 or 3 days, and then boom, it was right back with the vengeance. So it just continued to happen over and over and over, like it was never going to end. But I will say that it did help. It's not that it was in vain. It did diminish the activity, a little bit each time, to the point where it was finally bearable.
Were you able to ever have a good night's sleep after all of this?
Never. I honestly, my friends laugh at me. They're like, "Oh, Karen's still awake." It's taken me a long time, and now especially, even when I moved in here, of course, like I said, I got divorced, and I had such anxiety. This was in the end of March, beginning of April of this year. So when I moved into this place, and I thought, I had the worst anxiety about moving here, because this was the first time that I was on my own. I of course lived with my parents, went to college. Of course, then when I met her, him, and then of course I had my daughter, and we were married for quite some time, and then, so I was never really, I never had my own apartment. When I went to college, I lived at home. So I went from one right to the other. I never had my own apartment. And so this past March, even at 37, I thought to myself, I cried. I called my sister. I go, "What am I going to do?" And she goes, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "This is the first time I'm living on my own." I'm like, I'm terrified. I feel like I'm being, the thought went through my head, I'm going to be singled out. It was terrifying. After all these years, you still think that way. I literally was horrified. I thought, I'm going to be in a house. My daughter was eventually moving in here with me, but I was fixing the place up, and I was staying here until my furniture got here and everything. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be here by myself, alone in a home by myself. I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I did not sleep upstairs. My sister's like, "What are you sleeping downstairs on a futon for?" I'm like, "Well, until my couch gets here, the futon's all I really have down here." She's like, "Well, why don't you sleep upstairs in your bed?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because it's really far away from the front door." I'm like, if I have to get out of here quick, I'm really far away. And that's the mentality that I still have. When I'm out in the field doing investigations, it's different. It's not I'm doing investigations. We talked about this before. 99% of them are not demonic. If I run into something demonic, I have a team, I have a demonologist, whatever. I'm not afraid. When I'm in my own house after everything I've been through, it's totally different mentality. Does that make sense? It's just I'm on my own. Is it going to play on my weakness? Is it going to know I'm afraid? Yeah, I am still afraid after all this time. I'm afraid in my own home. I know what can happen. I know that I can be taking a shower and something can get me. I know that I can be sleeping in bed and be woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning to something awful. That always stays in the back of your head. It does not go away. It does change you as a person. It really does.
How did joining the paranormal field and doing paranormal investigations help you in your own personal recovery from what has happened? And being a paranormal investigator, has this spirit that is attached to your family ever come at you at a haunting during your investigation?
That I can say no. It's never come at me at an investigation. I didn't get into it to help myself. I got into into it to help other people because somebody contacted me for help one time. And of course, people used to contact my mom all the time. And it was different because this was before, again, the internet, so people would send them mail and say, can you help? And somebody had sent me a message on, I don't know what it was, Facebook or an email or something asking for help. And I said, well, I'll find somebody to help you. And I just started to realize that there are a lot of people out there that need help and they don't know where to turn. And I was thinking to myself, wow, it's pretty amazing that with all this technology, these people are still telling me that they can't find help. Why? And they would tell me horror stories like, well, I did have a paranormal group here and they did this, like we talked about before. They came and took pictures, and even the person who owned the home that had no experience knew that person was full of it. He was like, oh, he thought he caught a ghost in my door, but it was really his reflection, he took a picture of his own reflection, like just ridiculous things like that. And I thought, wow, there are really people out there who are for real and need help. I can't believe in this day and age this is still going on. Because for all these years, I never once thought I was going to become a paranormal investigator. I really didn't. I thought, I never, the thought never crossed my mind. But these people made me think, my God, I can't believe this is still an issue. So, after talking to a few people, I thought, oh my God, I'm not sure. I didn't use it to get over my own experiences. I really thought, I don't want these people to go through the same thing that I went through. And I don't want them to feel alone. I don't want them to invite, wackos into their house and get put into a worse situation that they're already in. I need to do something here. So even if I can help, I can't help everybody, but at least if I can help a few, I guess I'm doing my part. So I was more of a calling than it really had nothing to do with me helping myself.
You mentioned that the experiences continued after the Warrens had left and kind of wrapped up their case with you to the best of their abilities. What has continued for you? You mean now? Because, like I said, they didn't step out of the picture, but physically when it came to coming to the home, that kind of ended when I was about 13, 14. They always stayed in contact. They always stop in, see my parents every so many years or, constantly, like every day on the phone. But I mean, pretty much from the time I was like 13, 14 on, they were kind of out of the picture physically. I'm not sure, animals are very sensitive, and I believe animals can definitely see the spirit side that we can't. We always had issues. I was 15 years old, and of course I was in high school, and I had a boyfriend, and, my whole family would be sleeping, and I'd be talking to him, on the phone. I wasn't supposed to be up at 2:00 in the morning, but, I was. And we had a dog that just didn't go to sleep till everybody was asleep. And, it was 2:00 in the morning or so, and I was sitting in my living room, and my dog was, passed out in the middle of the floor, sprawled out, and he stood up, and he, the hair on his back stood up, tail went between his legs, head, went down, and he just showed his teeth, and he started to just growl and, just go crazy. And he just started to creep forward. And whatever he saw something. I wish I knew what he saw. I probably don't want to know what he saw, but he walked until he was literally facing the corner of the room, like he had somebody pinned there, like if you move, you're dead. Like, I'm going to eat you. Like, there was literally a person standing there. And I knew what he was seeing, and I literally dropped the phone, and I can't ever remember being so scared in my entire, and just ran upstairs and got my parents and was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And they're, of course, they were up for the rest of the night, but just little things like that would happen. And one time I was 15, I was 15 years old, watching a movie with my parents, we were all hanging out in the living room, and I just went up to the bathroom by myself, and I had an experience that scared the living daylights out of me. And
just to make a long story short, I was sitting there, door open, just, taking a quick pee, and I'm going to run back down and finish watching the movie. And I just started hearing this noise, like this banging. And I'm like, what is that? And, oh my God, what the heck are they doing down there? Like, what is all, And then I noticed they got louder and louder and louder. And I realized that there was banging all around me. It was on the wall. Like, it was all around me. Bam, 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 bam. And then the door just blew shut, and like so hard that like literally there were splinters coming off the door. And I literally just took off like a bat out of hell. I didn't sleep in my own bed for a month. I cried hysterically, hyperventilating for like an hour. I was 15 years old. That was the first experience I had since the Warrens left at 13 years old. So 2 years, I went 2 years without an experience, and all of a sudden it was back. I was never so scared and never so hopeless in my entire life. Like, really? I remember my father, when he knew like how scared he saw me on the floor, hyperventilating. I ran down the stairs, like literally with like my pants around my ankles as a 15-year-old, like on the floor in the living room, hyperventilating and crying. And my dad knew what was going on. And I remember him he lost his mind. My father lost his mind. I've never heard the F word come out of his mouth before that day. He just cursing and screaming and saying, like, really? You're going to pick on a 15-year-old girl? You coward, you this, you that, come after me. I can't believe this. This is my house. You're not going to do this. You're not, he went off for 10, 15 minutes. And I thought to myself, oh my God, are we still going through this? And I think it really freaked my parents out because it like I said, it had been, 2 years after the actual last exorcism, and something like that happens. And you're just like, where are you left mentally? You're just like, oh my God, are we ever going to get rid of it? And we just kind of grew to accept it because it got farther and fewer between. Things would happen, but it just got, less common and less common and less common as the months went by. But every once in a while, something like that would just happen to kind of let you know, like, hey, I'm still here. And now, today, it's just little annoying things. Every once in a while, you'll get some knocking. Every once in a while, you'll get some banging. Every once in a while, some, poltergeist junk. We laugh at the poltergeist stuff. It's like, yeah, whatever, I'm a mom. I just worked 8 hours. Now I got to pick up all your stuff. You just knocked all over the place. Thanks a lot. My daughter, she'll come down every once in a while and say, Mom, I was in the shower and I saw this black figure and he pulled the shower curtain open and yeah, okay. And I'm like, okay, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you scared? Yeah, I'll be all right. These are the conversations I have with my 15-year-old. My sister's kids the same way. My mom, every once in a while, she'll say, my mom called me about a month ago. And my mom said to me, oh my God, you're never going to believe what happened. And I said, what, Mom? She said, I don't know. I don't know why it happened. And I said, Mom, what's wrong? She said, I was laying in bed and I heard the whispering in my pillow. And I said, what do you, I'm like the whispering like we used to hear. She goes, yeah, I heard it in the pillow. And when you see the movie, you'll understand. A lot of us used to get whispering in the pillow, at nighttime. With that, I don't want to say Latin, but do you know what I mean? When it's like that muffled whispering.
Yes, totally.
And you don't know what it's saying. We used to get that very often. My mom just had that happen to her about a month ago. None of us have experienced that in probably 20 years. It's been about 20 years since anybody has had that happen, and she just had it 30 days ago. So it's just weird. It kind of just every once in a while, gives you something to let you know that, hey, you did beat us, but it's still like you have that bullseye on your back. Just to kind of mentally let you know that, hey, we're still here. So again, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, it's still an ongoing process. It's still something that you have to fight every day. you do have to stay strong mentally, and that's the difference between a demonic and a human human haunting. You know, humans, they can go away, you can cross them over, you know, you can get rid of them. The demonic, even though it's gone, it's not ever really gone. It definitely marks you. It definitely leaves a stain on you.
I got a question about you being a mom now, because my biggest issue that I have as a father, my 17-year-old daughter inherited my depression and anxiety. It's a family trait that has come down, and you always hope that that family trait that you don't want to happen doesn't get passed over to your child. As a mom, putting your mom hat on here, how concerned are you that your daughter is going to have a lifetime of, lack of a better term, torture with this spirit connected to the family?
Right. Oh, that's a tough one. Luckily, you know, I can't predict what's going to happen. Again, it's like one of those things like, why me? If somebody could step into I don't trust, like we had this discussion before about the psychics and stuff. People offer all the time for me, well, like, let's let a psychic come in and tell you what's going on. Now, that's okay. By their age, we were at such a bad place that we've been told generational curse, bloodline curse. We've been told, you know, all these different kinds of things. And I hope that if that's the case, like my daughter's 15, where she is at 15, I was in a completely different place. So if, you know, if she only gets to the point where she's like sensitive and she learns how to deal with it, I'm okay with that. You know, if I know that she's not going to ever have demonic issues, I mean, I would rather her be. I can't predict what's going to happen. I really don't know. You know, my nephews used to be scared to death. Like he used to crawl in bed with my sister all the time. You know, he would hear his name called and stuff like that. But the older he gets, again, they're so desensitized. Like if I saw the stuff that my daughter says she sees, I would have been like a mess. Same thing with my nephew. I would have been like, he's just like, yeah, mom. Like he's a big tough guy now. He's 18. He's like, yeah, this is what happened last night, whatever. You know, like he acts like it doesn't bother him. It's really hard to say. I mean, the only thing I can do is, I mean, you know, she laughs at me. She sees me with my holy water. She sees me pray. She sees me with my rosaries. She knows I have my crucifixes, you know, over the front door and the back door and medals. I think our kids are smart enough that if they needed help, they would ask for it. You know, she comes down and says, hey, Mom, this is what happened. I think if it got to the point where, let's say, God forbid, I wasn't around one day and she had something bad going on, they're definitely not afraid to ask. They're definitely not afraid to talk about it. I think she would ask for help. So it's such a tough question because we really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I can't tell you what's going to happen 2 weeks from now. You know, I mean, there's times where I'm sitting here watching TV and something happens to me. There's times where 3 months go by and nothing happens to me. If I can't predict what's going to happen with me, I definitely can't predict what's going to happen with her in 10 or 15 years. Dave, I need some answers here, Dave. We need some.
I'm still looking for an answer to the alien that was at my window last year while I was broadcasting this show. I'm still looking for answers, too. I mean, it is far out in the unknown. I guess the big thing that I'm saying is, do you feel guilty as a parent that your daughter has inherited this from you?
Yes. Because, yes and no. I'll tell you why. Yes, because I don't ever want her to be scared. I don't want her to ever truly... You can watch a horror movie and be scared, Dave. But when it happens to you, there's a totally different level of terror. Okay? I mean, there is. Let's put it... I mean, people say, oh, if that happened to me, oh, I would run and I would do this and I did... If you've been attacked so many times... I mean, I have anxiety. You know, God, people are going to think I'm nuts. I tell my friends this. My friends all know. I've never told the public this. This is the first time I'm saying this. In the past 20 years, okay, maybe 15 years, I've physically slept in my own bed about a handful of times. I've literally, I've slept in my own bed more in the past 2 weeks than I've ever slept in my own bed in the past 15 years. Why? I don't know. It's a mental game that I had played out in my head. I'm more comfortable on the couch. I feel like I'm more in control. I don't know what it is. Every time I've tried to sleep in my bed, I've had something happen to me, whether it's sleep paralysis, whether I've had somebody pounding on my headboard. They've made sure I haven't gotten a good night's sleep, let's put it that way. So I'm more comfortable on the couch. Even when I was married, when I was with my husband, I slept on the couch. I just did. It was just, I felt safer.
You just need a good night's sleep.
It definitely changes you. It really does. I mean, like I said, we joke around about holy water, and there's been times I've left my house. There's been when her father and I were separated like 2 years ago. There's been times where I've left my house in the middle of the night. I've called my sister at 2:00 in the morning and said, yeah, I'm coming over. And why? Just things are happening. I'm leaving. I'm scared. I'm coming over. I literally leave in like the middle of the winter with, shorts and t-shirt and flip-flops on with my keys and my cell phone, and leave every light on the house on, every door unlocked, TV's on, and I just leave because it just, things just happen. So, I don't know if certain people are, I've heard theories like, certain people are chosen, certain people's souls have been chosen. I hear all kinds of crazy, theories. I really don't know. I don't think until we're dead and we're on the other side, we're going to have the answer. And that's why I think this field is so out of control, is because because nobody has a degree and because there's no class for this. Everybody has their own thoughts. Everybody has their own theories. Everybody has their own beliefs. It's just one of those things where you cannot prove or disprove any of this. It's not a science. It's not like proving that gravity exists. It's not like proving, that there's atoms and neutrons and protons. Until we're dead, until I'm dead, I'm never going to have all the answers I need.
And on that note, I have about 30 seconds time with you, Carin, for you to tell people where they can find your radio show, how they can find out more about you.
Okay, and guys, I just want to let you know again, I apologize. I was not able to get into the chat room tonight. I see all of your questions on Facebook. I see your friend requests. I see everything. I'm definitely going to get to you guys. I will answer all of you. You can find me. I don't hide my name. I'm Carin Smurl on Facebook. I'm Carin Smurl on Twitter. I'm Carin Smurl everywhere, so I'm easy to find if you have any questions. Again, I will get you to the right person. If you need help or have any questions, I'll get you to the right person. We do, on Thursday night, on www.demonologytoday.com, we do, parapsychology, spiritual warfare, demonology, ghostology, different questions. I'm always in chat. We always pull our questions from chat. You can ask anything you want. If you need help with anything, I also have 2 demonologists there that they will help as well. Their show, actually, we just co-host with them.
Excellent.
But you guys can absolutely find me anywhere. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Feel free anytime, and I will definitely get to your questions.
Thank you so much, Carin, for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. It's been a blast. You were fantastic.
Thank you, Dave, and I had a blast.
You hold on. I'm going to end this show up. Mr. Bumblefoot is playing guitar right now. He's rocking us out as we say goodnight to you. Remember Tomorrow night on the show, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, we get things going. The crypto historian Rob Morphy is back for his monthly appearance on this show. And you can find everything you need with Spaced Out Radio at our website, spacedoutradio.com. Talk to you in 21 hours. Bumblefoot, take us home.
This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you